Hi everybody, this is On Air, my Beatles collection. Today I'm going to show you a couple of varieties of the Beatles Alpha Omega albums. Alpha Omega albums. Of course, these are thought to be, in some circles, thought to be the albums that initiated or resulted in the legitimate releases of the Red and Blue albums, 1962 to 66, 1967 to 70. That rumor has pretty much been disproven in the sense that it was found that the Red and Blue albums were in the works pretty much. They weren't necessarily scheduled for release yet, but they were in the works when these Alpha Omega albums turned up on TV. There was a couple of companies that took credit or responsibility for releasing these albums, but I'm gonna go through them one at a time and talk about them. So the first one is the one that most people saw and many people bought through the TV. This particular one gives credit to a company called Audio Tape Incorporated in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And I was looking through it. Here's the song list on the back. You can pause that if you want to look at it. You're likely to find misspellings and titles that aren't exactly the ones you remember. Although on this first album, this first box, now referred to as Volume 1, you'll actually see some that are repros, and they'll actually say Volume 1 on the bottom. But I don't believe the ones that say Volume 1 on the bottom actually are from the early 70s. I think they're reprints because I don't believe that there was any marked Volume 1 at the time. This is copyright 1972. Of course, copyright is an interesting choice of words since these were not authorized and they were not official. And in many cases, I think in all cases, the actual songs were needle drops from legitimate Beatles product. So there's no new mixes here, and there's no, straight from master tape pressings here. Anyway, let's take a quick look inside the box, and then we'll talk about it. So there's 4 albums in here. I have put them in rice paper sleeves. This is what the label looks like. Beatles Alpha Omega. You can see there that it gives credit to Audio Tape in Asbury Park, New Jersey. I think that's what I said a minute ago, was it not? Yeah, Asbury Park. There's all different credits for different versions of this. So that's what it looks like. So there's 4 albums in here. They all have the same label style, same font, same printing. So I won't show you all 4, but there are 4 in here. It would have been nice if these were color vinyl. That would have jazzed it up a bit. I remember, I was shopping with a friend in a record store, and I had not seen this other than on TV, and I think that had already been shut down, by the Beatles, and they weren't advertising them anymore, and I did not buy it off the TV. But then I was in a record store, and I saw a whole display of these, on a rack, and I said, gee, what's that? Because I didn't remember, from the TV, I didn't remember the graphics. But I thought, gee, that's a great looking cover. Alpha Omega, means, beginning to end. So this was designed to represent the entire Beatles career. I don't remember a second album or second volume coming out, but I did note in the volume, now known as Volume 1, that there were 4 songs on Volume 1 out of all 4 LPs that were not Beatles songs, they were solo songs. And those songs were Bangladesh, Maybe I'm Amazed, Imagine, and Uncle Albert. So go figure, why those particular 4. Of course, this was 1972, so this would only be things that were already, in the public and that could have been needle dropped. So that's what's on volume 1, in addition to all the other, Beatles songs that span their entire career. Then actually years later, I discovered that there was a volume 2. This one actually says volume 2. This one gives credit to TV Products in Cleveland, Ohio. This one is considerably harder to find. Both of these come with different covers. You'll see black and white covers. You'll see different colors. There's a lot of varieties here, and there's different colored labels as well. This one is pretty beat up. The box itself is pretty beat up. It's been repaired. You can see on the back there's a lot of these black sort of stripes and things. That's actually covering up what was big blotches of worn cardboard. And there you can see the credit down there. This doesn't show, this says 1972 also. I definitely do not remember this from 1972. If you want to pause that and read that. On this one, you'll definitely see some unusual spellings. I'm looking to see quickly if I find them. There's also a couple of other versions of this I'm going to show you in a minute that have a ton of misspellings. Actually, this one doesn't look too bad in the misspellings department. But let's take a look inside the box here. Again, like the other one, they use the Alpha Omega label. In this case, it's a different color. You'll also see that this starts with side 9. So that reflects the fact that sides 1 through 8 were in the 4 LPs in volume 1. And so this is side 9, and it says volume 2 beneath that. As I said, I never saw these albums, this volume 2, until many years later. So it was not, I don't recall it being on television. I'm sure it must have been. And I don't recall ever seeing it at a retail store, but it may have been. I actually got this from another collector. I got it on eBay. I saw that somebody was selling it. I knew that it was a little beat up, but it's very rare to find a volume 2. I haven't seen many of them in the wild at all. I've seen them, occasionally on eBay or someplace like that. And there are Japanese repros of these that are probably on eBay right now as we speak for both volume 1 and volume 2. And as I mentioned before, the volume 1 probably actually says volume 1 underneath, like this one says volume 2. So I'm sure they're in much better condition. I'm sure they probably don't sound much better, but I don't know, if they're still needle drops, they might have gotten them from better sources over the years, as opposed to what was available in 1972. So I can't tell you how they sound. I can tell you how these sound. They sound like second generation copies. But it was, at the time, for those who actually bought them at the time, they enjoyed the fact that there was this wide variety of Beatles songs that were not in any particular order. They're not in album order. They're not in alphabetical order. So they're not chronological. They're just randomly placed across 4 LPs, so 8 LPs in total. I would say about 10 years ago, I found them on CDs. Now, these, of course, are definitely not from the time. There were no such things as CDs in 1972. I don't know actually when these were made. Both of them credit Audio Tape Inc., which is what that first volume was. Only it doesn't say Asbury Park, New Jersey. It says Long Branch, New Jersey. If you're familiar with the Jersey shoreline, Long Branch is not particularly far from Asbury Park. So it's reasonable that a company called Audio Tape Inc. might actually exist. And then again, it might be somebody's house that lives on the Jersey shore. I'm not sure. One One of the things I was interested in right off the bat when I saw this is volume 1. It has the white background. That's a little different. And this has 3 CDs rather than 4 LPs. The first thing I was interested in, is it the same track list? And I haven't quite figured out yet if it is, but it's definitely not in the same order. So it doesn't start with the same song. It doesn't end with the same song. I haven't even counted the songs to see if it matches up in terms of count. I'll show you what the CDs look like. You know, they're pretty well done. They're nice looking CDs. So this is a 3-pack here. So it opens up to to the third one back here. One thing I did note is that Volume 2 has considerably more Beatles solo stuff. And so I did compare both the album of Volume 1 to the CD of Volume 1 and the album of Volume 2 to the CD of Volume 2. And Volume 1 of the CD has the exact same 4 songs that are solo Beatles. They're not in the same order. They're not found in the same place on the disc. They're squeezed in a different place. That is an indication that maybe all the songs are on there that were on the vinyl, and they're just reorganized sequentially. I'm not sure. I've never tried to verify that, and I'm really not that interested in finding out, to be honest. But again, Bangladesh, Uncle Albert, Imagine, and Maybe I'm Amazed are found across the 3 discs in the order that I just said. That was not the order that I found them on the vinyl. But anyway, the second one, when we get to that, which I'm going to do next, has way more solo stuff. So that's Volume 1. This was, I found this on eBay, like I said, maybe 10 years ago. And I said, well, gee, that's kind of a neat idea. I'm somewhat of a completist. This is not where I go to get my high-quality audio Beatles. But, it's kind of a novelty. The way I store them, now normally these are in plastic, but anyway, I store these side by side on a shelf, and I have these in front of them. So that's the way I display them for people that visit. And so Volume 2, here's Volume 2. Volume 2 looks a little bit more like the album with the black background, around the edges. It does say Volume 2 like the album did. This one gives the audio tape credit down the bottom here. It's organized a little differently. And when it has the barcode on the right side, the other one had the barcode. Well, actually, barcodes are in the same place. They're just a little different because you have all this text here where my finger is wiggling. So that's what Volume 2 looks like. And here's what it looks like on the CDs. I'm sure these were produced at the same time, probably by the same entity. It's a loose CD there. There's the third disc in the series. Now this one, again, has a cross-section of the Beatles' career, but it has a lot of post-Beatles stuff. So on the album, in this order, scattered across all four LPs on Volume 2, are Crippled Inside, Oh Yoko, Too Many People, Heart of the Country, Backseat of My Car, All Things Must Pass, Apple Scruffs, Lovely Linda, and My Sweet Lord. The same songs are found on the CD in this order: Too Many People, Heart of the Country, Backseat of My Car, Crippled Inside, Oh Yoko, Lovely Linda, My Sweet Lord, All Things Must Pass, and Apple Scruffs. So, same songs, different order, and found scattered across. Now, what I did find on this one is lots of misnamed songs or misspelled songs. So again, we're on volume 2. On disc 1, the second song is Rock and Roll. Let's see, going down the page, track 8 is Lovely Rita, with lovely spelled wrong. Keep going down there. Let's see, 15 is Tax Man, 2 words, Tax Man. Track 17 on disc 1 is All Together Now, together rather than together. Not 2 words, not together, just together. 1 word spelled wrong. The next track is Pepperland. I don't know if that's, I haven't listened to this in a while. I don't know if that's Yellow Submarine in Pepperland from the Yellow Submarine album. I'm not sure what that is. I haven't really checked. Let's see. So that's disc 1. That's the misspellings and such. Disc 2. Let's see. Track number 13, Magic Feeling. I assume that's Oh That Magic Feeling, Nowhere to Go. And right after it is She Came In Through the Bathroom Window. Then we got on that track 16, Golden Slumber, not Slumbers, Golden Slumber. Then we have, rather than Mean Mr. Mustard, we have Dirty Old Man as a track name. And let's see, that's Rocky Raccoon is track 23 on disc 2, and it's spelled Rockey Racoon. Rocky Raccoon. And let's see, disc 3, going down the list here. I Am, track number 14, I Am a Walrus. I Am a Walrus. Okay, whatever. Let me see on, on volume 1, I didn't do the spell check thing, but I'll do that. So let's see, disc 1 on volume 1. Let's see what's in here. Well, they have Bangladesh, Bengladesh, 1 word. So that's not quite right. Let's see, let's keep going down here. Track 15 is Should Have Known Better rather than I Should Have Known Better. Not a big problem there. The one I noticed first actually is disc 2, song 1, I Feel, oh sorry, no, that one's right, it's I Feel Fine. I thought it was If I Feel. I think one of them on the label it says If I Feel. That would have to be on the vinyl, of course. There's no tracks on the labels here. I know I saw If I Feel somewhere. Let's see, what else is on disc 2 of volume 1 that might be goofed up? Track number 14 is My Love Don't Give Me. I think that would be She's a Woman. My Love Don't Give Me Presents. I'm guessing that's what it is. I didn't listen to it, like I said, in a long time. And I don't really go back to this to listen to it. That's the only one, errata, on disc 2. Let's see, disc 3 of volume 1. Yeah, are there any more? Let's see. Strawberry Field Forever is track 11. That's it. Not too bad. But, of course, it is a classic case on bootlegs in general. And I don't know whether to call these bootlegs or counterfeits because the original albums aren't really the true albums anyway. They're pirates. So this is a pirate of a pirate or a bootleg of a bootleg, however you prefer. In the vernacular of normal society, non-collector society, anything that's not official is a bootleg. If you say that word on Facebook or, on here, you'll certainly get people that will say, well, there's pirates and there's counterfeits and there's bootlegs. These don't match the definition of bootleg that those folks use, because that definition is when you get something that's never been released before. Of course, all of these songs have been released before, so that's not a bootleg. It's not a counterfeit because it's not pretending to be an album that exists, and it just tries to match it, like infamously the introducing the Beatles album on VJ, which has been counterfeited, tens of thousands of times. So that makes it a pirate. It's a thing that shouldn't exist, but it does exist. It's nothing revelatory. There's nothing new that you haven't heard before. And it's not a counterfeit. It's not trying to be something that it's not. It's trying to be a unique thing, so it's a pirate. But anyway, I don't usually worry about that too much, but a lot of our followers do, particularly on Facebook. I have a Facebook group, private group called My Beatles Collection. On YouTube here, I'm on air, My Beatles Collection. But my Facebook group has well over 5,000 members. It's a private group. You have to answer a few questions to get accepted into the group. And we share our collections with other group members. You're welcome to go over there on Facebook and find that page and join there, and I'd like to see what your collection looks like, or if you have any particular items that you're proud of. And I probably have shown this Alpha Omega stuff on there, just in still photos is really all it is. What I will do typically is I will link a YouTube video from my YouTube channel onto my Facebook page, so people that know me through the Facebook page, and that's a much bigger audience of people that are already subscribers or members. And so they know that the video has been posted, and they can link right over from there, right over to the YouTube video. So I think I've probably shown these on there before. I don't even recall. I post things almost every day on the Facebook page. I don't post every day on the YouTube channel. It's every couple of days, usually every 3 or 4 days. So anyway, that's it for the Beatles Alpha Omega. There's no volume 3. There's no real updates to these other than, I believe they've been reprinted, and I've seen some very nice looking copies, as I said, that actually say volume 1 on the box, that say volume 2 on the box. And, they usually go for over $100 a piece. The used ones that are the original official ones, depending upon condition, they go from $50 up to $200 if they look brand new. These are not, these are middle of the pack there. The vinyl is very good, but the boxes have not held up well over the years. So, both boxes in this case have been doctored up a bit. The black parts that weren't black anymore have been made black again by the power of magic markers, it looks like. They look okay. They show pretty decently. And people understand that 1972 was a long time ago. So, things like this in cardboard boxes, if they hold up for 53 years at all, and they're still in one piece, that's a pretty good thing. Of course, the CDs are a lot newer. I don't know the year. It doesn't actually say the year on these. They're trying to basically mimic what they were in 1972, but we all know there were no CDs in 1972. So these probably came out, I don't know, around 2000 to maybe 2010, that time frame. And I do see them every once in a while on eBay. It's almost like people try to pawn them off as official. And sometimes I see them for really ridiculous prices, higher than the actual vinyl boxes that are the originals. So, be careful with that. I wouldn't spend $200 for these. They are CDs, and they are not, original at all. I don't even know if the company that's taking credit here, Audio Tape, if they even still exist in Long Branch, New Jersey, or in the case of the vinyl, Asbury Park, New Jersey. I think I did mention the second box gives credit to TV Products in Cleveland, Ohio. And I distinctly remember that there was a volume 1 that was from TV products in Cleveland, Ohio as well. So I don't know how that really, how that really worked in terms of who claimed to have rights to do this and under what legal jurisdiction they thought they had that they could do this. But of course, they were shut down by Capital, Apple, EMI, whoever had the rights at the time, again, early 70s. And then eventually, of course, the red and the blue albums were out there and available, and everybody wanted those because they were professionally done. And as many people, the younger fans that are younger than me anyway, have said those were the gateway albums for them, for those people, that they got the red and blue albums as gifts for Christmas or something, or a birthday, or that was their first thing that they bought from their birthday money or their little savings account from school or whatever they had. And then from there, they decided which albums they wanted to go back and buy from the original Beatles albums. So I know they were gateway albums. They were very important to a lot of people. And of course, that's why they got reissued just a couple of years ago and updated, remixed, remastered. In some cases, probably not well. People famously hate Giles Martin's "I Am the Walrus" remix as an example, but they wanted a vehicle to to put out now and then. They wanted an album to put it on. They didn't bother to change the 1967 to 70 title when they added a song that was released so many years later. But they did what they did. I guess they didn't want to just put a single out. They wanted to attach it to a more expensive product, and they had the red and blue ready to go. But, some people would argue we never would have got the red and blue without the Alpha Omega. I don't think that's true. But there are many people that will tell you that that's what inspired, the record companies to release something official. Again, I don't buy that. But anyway, I know for a fact that the red and blue albums were being planned. I don't know how far along they were. They came out in 73, so, I'm sure that Apple, EMI, Parlophone, whoever, knew that they were planning to release something not too long after, and they went ballistic when they saw these being advertised on TV. So they shut it down pretty fast, but a lot of them got out there and got sold. And they're still out there in the wild, but Volume 1 is the one you see more often than Volume 2. Anyway, that's probably way more time and words expended on the topic of Alpha Omega. Not the greatest release or unofficial release ever, but interesting nonetheless, and I thought you might like to hear more about it and see the comparison to the CDs. And also know that it was career spanning to that point in time, including many of the Beatles solo works. So anyway, that's it for today's video. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you have any comments or information, knowledge, something I missed, something that you know better than I do about this, I'd love to find out. So tell me in the comments. If you're not yet a subscriber here, please subscribe, and you'll come back and get to see a lot more videos. Over 100 videos on the channel, and there'll be 100 more coming sometime soon. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I remind you, if you would like to join the Facebook page, My Beatles Collection, come on over there and answer a few questions and join the party over there and start to show us some of your collection. And I generally post almost every day individual items. I don't show a whole room full of stuff generally. I'll pick an item and say, oh, let me put this up there today. I try to find things that are a little less common and, share them not only on my own group, but I cross-share them with some other groups that you might already be a member of. So you might already see my stuff if you're in there. But it's more direct if you go into My Beatles Collection, and you're welcome to post things in there. So anyway, if you have time to do that and you have desire to do that, please do. Otherwise, I'll just see you back here, hopefully at some point in time, and Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more good videos. So that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.